Doing good in an evil world. With Ashlyn and Aaron.
That sounds backwards. Like you should be saying doing evil in a good world.
No, man. The world. Let's talk about it. Like, especially right now with how things are transpiring all over, but especially here in the United States, there's a lot of angry people, and we just live in a world, right, that has a lot of hard emotions.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's got something to say. I think a lot of it has to do with social media. Everything's in your face now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of evil.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of like stimulation, that doesn't bring any kind of peace to our souls. It brings more like fear and anger and bitterness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always at your fingertips, so you can start doom scrolling and it's one reel after another with all the negativity. And
yeah, and it's so easy for us as Christians, or just anybody who's trying to be a good person, to be consumed by it. And that's exactly what the enemy wants.
Yeah. I know my Facebook, when I liked one thing, it was like every post after that was just negativity. And I was like, for a minute, I had to deactivate my Facebook because I was like, I can't look at this stuff.
Right.
Because that's where I'm going to be mentally.
Yes.
If I continue to read this and like this stuff, I mean, it's still there a little bit, but just quick pass it because I don't want to be stuck.
So Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed by this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Right? So you're talking all these things that compound us in the world. It's like, don't be conformed to that mindset. It's easy to do it, but don't be conformed to that mindset. Be transformed by what Jesus tells you, what the Bible tells you, what the Holy Spirit is leading you to. And really, it's like what you live by, you become, right? So like if you sow into worldly things, you're going to reap worldly fruit.
Yeah, I think the tension that you feel in your inner experience is always displayed, usually.
Oh, yeah.
On your social media.
Oh, so yeah, for sure. You can definitely tell when someone's...
whatever you're feeling, you're usually putting on there. And,
yeah.
If you continue to live in this anger and you're putting anger out there, that's what it's going to show. But you often desire stillness and calmness, and if you're not putting that out there, that's not what you're going to get. And
it's what you live by, right? So like if you live by like outrage, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, you're outraged by everything. Like you're going to inherit anger. And like if you're always trying to compare yourself, you're going to live by jealousy. And like if you're living in fear, you're going to be filled with anxiety. And if you live by like bitterness, if you're always bitter about things, you're going to get like a hardened heart.
Super hardened heart.
Yeah, right. Right. Been there, done that, right? Yeah. Like fear is a big one that like, I mean, look at how many people say they have anxiety. I mean, shoot, I deal with anxiety. It's like, that's a really hard emotion to deal with. And we're being compounded by fearful things all the time in the world.
Yeah. And you're living day to day in this anxiety or whatever, instead of just like sitting back and maybe being with yourself or praying about it. I'm anxious, I'm going to pray about it.
Right.
Not living into that fear.
Well, and it's not like having those initial emotions, like being sad or being angry about something. Like it's not that those are bad. We all have our emotions, right? It's when you like dwell on them and allow them, you
To
know,
ruminate.
ruminate in yourself, like that's where you start to get bad things happening. And just like living in the world. So Galatians 6:8, for he who sows to his flesh will of the flesh reap corruption, but he who sows to the spirit will of the spirit reap everlasting life. So um yeah, if you're sowing all the stuff that is coming out of the world, you're going to reap worldly things.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that is happening is like anger is a huge thing that you're seeing across.
I think you see it in your day to day,
Right.
especially where we live. I mean, driving my son to school, it's like people are angry in traffic.
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
if you live here, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
If you hit
Traverse
one red
City.
light, if you hit one red light, you're hitting them all. It doesn't matter. You can jump off the line and you can race to the next one. I'll see you at the next one.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So weaving in out of traffic and just being angry and, aggressive on the road, it's like, you're not going to get anywhere faster. I had this woman illegally pass me and showed up to the high school at the exact same time. And I wanted to cuss her out. I didn't. And I just congratulated her on getting there at the same time and illegally passing me. But, people are just so angry. I had a man flip me off the other day because I got ahead of him in a passing lane and he was going to shoot straight up. And then he's turning on the road, flipping me off. And I'm like, okay, you got in front of me and then you put on the brakes and you turned.
Right.
Why are we so angry?
Well, and that's the thing. It's like when you, especially here, I know that there's like raging on the roads, like in other places too. But man, Traverse City really does a good job. But like being angry and like, especially in those rage moments, it like narrows your vision. And it steals wisdom right from you because you were thinking about nothing else but in that moment and how you're feeling. Like it is all feelings. And like when you allow your anger to control you,
you can even feel it in your body.
Right. Like
you start to shake.
Right.
And you're like just so angry that you don't know what to do. You can't think clear at all.
Yeah. And like when you allow your anger to control you, like you literally will do things that you don't even think about the consequences. You just do them. And like nothing else in the world matters. And Ephesians 4:26-27 really hit me because it says to not sin in your anger and to not sit in your anger because it literally will give a foothold for the devil to come in. And you're seeing this in a lot of things that are happening right now. I mean, the whole thing with the ICE agents, and people being angry. And I thought about this like a little deeper the other day because we were talking about this, and it's like you're seeing it's like a lot of women who are angry about this, and they're acting irrationally. I mean, the woman who got shot, she wasn't thinking about her kids in that moment. She wasn't thinking about any type of consequence except for her anger.
Outside of that moment,
right?
She wasn't thinking about
and that's what happens in anger. And like it's so, the Bible gives us so many answers. If you just read it, it guides you. And like this thought of like, hey, like it warns, like, do not sit in your anger. Do not let your anger manifest in you because you basically will be a puppet for the enemy.
Right.
And like I see this happening, and I'm realizing because it's so hard for me to see what the action's going on, and not because anger spreads. And this is why we wanted to talk about this today, is because like you see it and you see these people acting angry and you're like, why are you so angry? That's dumb. And then you get angry.
You're angry
right? And then you sit in your anger towards them because they're angry at somebody else, and then it's just this big anger fest. And meanwhile the enemy's sitting back like, evil laugh, enter mohaha, like
with his popcorn.
So when I was thinking about this deeper the other day, I'm like, man, like a lot of these people are women. A lot of these women are going and they're like protesting, and they're getting in front of vehicles, and they're like beating on vehicles and like trying to get in the way of these ICE officers. And I realized the enemy's going to attack you in your weakest, like in your weakness, right? And
Mhm.
I'm not saying that this is really a weakness for women, but I think that the enemy can totally use that as a weakness, because women tend to have far more compassion,
Yeah.
right? Like we live, I mean, like really, we like naturally are compassionate creatures, right? And so when you are on social media and these like news outlets or like anybody who has like you follow or whatever is telling you, oh, these these mean ICE agents are doing this to these poor people, it's easy for you if you're a compassionate person to be like, oh, like I care about this. And so then you get angry about it because you find injustice, and you want to, your compassion leads you to be pulled in,
Yeah.
and it just it was interesting to me. Why so many women? Why are so many women doing this? It's because they're weak in their compassion, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to have an understanding to like why anybody would act like this, but literally you're going to be weak in your compassion, and that's going to drive your anger. And when you keep your anger festering inside of you, the enemy swoops right in, and now easy little
You're
puppets.
like a puppet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Right. And
yeah.
so it makes you do things that it's like you don't think about your kids, you don't think about being
Yeah.
arrested or even being shot. You're blind to it. You just want, you just have that rage.
If-
I think it's not driven by trying to be evil. It's driven because in your compassion you're being manipulated.
Yeah. And if we all did the things that we want to do, or the things that, we think, oh, I had this thought, it's not a good thought, I probably shouldn't do that. If we all acted on that, we get angry at someone, we're mad at someone in the grocery store. It's like, oh, I'm going to go slash their tires.
Right?
Do you go do that? No.
So-
So if we just acted on every feeling that we had,
right.
we'd probably all be in prison.
Oh, what are those called? Thoughts.
Intrusive thoughts.
Intrusive thoughts. Yes.
Yeah, if we acted on all of them.
If we all acted on if I acted on my intrusive
So
thoughts.
think about that though. If we're acting on our intrusive thoughts, flip the script. Instead of slashing their tires, they made you upset. They stop giggling.
I'm sorry.
So instead, you're like, I hope you have a blessed day. Or, I see you're having a hard time. Let me pay for your meal or whatever. You're in a fast food place.
Right. Yeah, and that's totally, don't be conformed to the world. Be
Yeah.
transformed.
Don't be evil. Be kind.
Right.
Because something could have happened to that person that made them angry. They're still angry.
Right.
And now,
I mean, they could have just had a cancer diagnosis,
you never
or
know.
something like that, or loss of a loved one. We never know what's going on in the world, in the heads of other people, why they're doing what they do. But like,
so you can choose to be kind, or you can choose to continue the anger, because if you feel their anger, then that's going to make you angry.
Yeah.
And then that person's probably going to go and make someone else angry.
Right.
And it's just this continuous cycle.
And honestly, the enemy doesn't care like what side of the political aisle you're on, or even like what kind of job you work, or if you go to church every Sunday. What he cares about is what matters is if he can keep you in anger or in fear or in jealousy, or can get you to be reactive, or keeps you unloving towards another person for a certain reason. Right. Or making you like keep you in your bitterness. Like that is how the enemy is able to move you. And he desires to pull you from who you truly are. He desires to pull you from your true identity.
Yeah. And I think you need to be where you are. Stay where you are. Be calm. Be still. Try to stay humble with your self-worth.
And also, 1 Peter 5:8 tells you to be vigilant, because the enemy, he's seeking to devour you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he wants you to get lazy in in worldly things. Like he wants you to be consumed by the world and like what's happening and how people are acting, and like, oh yeah, you need to hate these people because
Yeah.
of how they're acting, because look at they're crazy. Like they don't, they have no remorse. But that's, we're all humans. We all have souls. There's
Mhm.
a reason why people act the way that they act, and
Yeah.
you have to see it through the eyes of Jesus when it comes to those things. And I know it's so hard. And even like, and even you can choose, right? You can be like, well, I'm just, you're right. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be angry. I'm going to stop being angry. I'm going to stop being fearful. But the problem
That
is,
only goes so far.
right, because if you can stop the action, but if you don't replace it with
some
something
type
good,
of,
yeah, like you're just opening it up for the enemy to actually come back even stronger.
Mhm.
So you can't just choose to like, well, I'm just not going to be angry at that person. I'm just not going to be angry. No, you have to replace it.
Yeah.
You have to replace not being angry with doing something good. So, instead of being like, I'm just not going to be mad at that person. You know what? No, I'm going to care about that person's soul. I'm going to pray for that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like
That's a good one.
or like if somebody, like you were saying, have a blessed day, right? It's actually it's Proverbs verse, but it's soft word turns away anger, but harsh words stir up wrath. So like instead of being angry back at someone,
Mhm.
be gentle with them.
Yeah.
Be gentle with them. Instead of being bitter with someone, give forgiveness. Great example, Erica Kirk, who in front of everyone, you realize like how hard that was for her. I could only imagine, but like she could have literally just hid in her closet and been like, God, I forgive the man who killed my husband. No, she went out and she stood in front of everybody and she declared it in front of the entire world that she forgave that man. You realize that in doing that, how many people were probably affected by that? I mean, can you imagine how many people saw this woman who was like, this woman just forgave the man who murdered her husband.
Yeah.
And I can't forgive my dad for not being a good dad. Like, could you imagine how much of the kingdom was stirred up in that, and like how much the Holy Spirit worked through people just by her doing that?
I had this conversation with my mom just this past weekend where she was like, I just have to forgive. And she's like, I started a long time ago, just forgiving people so they don't have control over me.
Right.
You have to really just forgive, pray about it. If you're struggling with it, pray about it.
Right. And like, I know, like with fear, you have to replace that with love, because perfect love casts out all fear. And so like, you're fearful of like how certain people act, whatever. Don't fear them. Love them. Like, you got to have love in your heart, and you have to take your thoughts captive and make a conscious choice to think better, right? And like as many times as you need to do it, over and over again, until all of a sudden gratitude, it comes more naturally than like jealousy, or forgiveness comes more naturally than bitterness. Love comes more naturally than fear. Gentleness comes more naturally than anger. You have to make that conscious effort and like act in it, because if you don't do that, I mean, you're like,
you create your own happiness, you create your own calmness.
Right.
All of that is your work.
Right. And just as like, we hope that people find their true worth in like us doing this podcast, right? Like we want everybody to know their true worth. It's not just, it's not just people who believe in God, but even the person who doesn't believe, God still loves them.
Yes.
God still loves his precious daughters, his precious sons. Like, it doesn't matter if you believe in him or not. He still loves you, and he's searching for you, and he wants you to come to him. So like, when we realize who we are in God, it becomes easier for us to like navigate this world, you know?
And our whole goal to this isn't to tell everybody, hey, you have to go to church, you have to do this, you have to do that. I think we just, sometimes if life isn't giving you what you want, maybe look within. Why? Why am I not getting what I want?
Right.
What's missing? And that was huge for me.
Yeah.
My whole mindset shifted on everything in my life. Things would happen and I was like, well, this was meant to happen. This happened for a reason. And you can't just say like, oh, it happened for a reason, because when we say it happened for a reason, well, you want to acknowledge that fear or whatever that's behind that. Okay, but why did it happen? So it makes you a little bit anxious. And it's like, I'm not going to be anxious. I'm going to pray about it. This happened. I'm going to pray about it. This past weekend, we parked 2 vehicles in the ditch, and my teenage son is watching my reaction to this whole situation. So we literally sat there and laughed the whole time. I'm like, honestly, what can you do? I can be angry. I can start throwing a fit that I'm stuck in this snowbank on the side of the road, or we can laugh at the fact that my mom is a quarter of a mile stuck in the ditch too. So just choosing to act a certain way instead of just acting out on your initial feeling. Like, yeah, was I pleased that I was pulled in the snowbank? No.
Yeah.
But did I show my son that I was a raging lunatic? No.
Right. And that literally, your actions will feed his actions, right? And that's what I'm getting at with like this whole thing. You watch these people that are full of hate, that are like basically attacking our own country right now, and it's like we could choose to be angry at them because that's ridiculous behavior we don't understand, or we can go the route that God directs us. And it's like you speak love and truth, like speak truth in love, I mean, and obviously don't act that way, but again, a soft word turns away anger. Like it changes a soul. So and when you start to do that stuff, when you start to live, when you keep practicing that good in a dark world, like you start becoming what God, what God sees you as, right? And like you start showing that light of Jesus.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to bring that this reel up. It was from Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell, and he has got like a spotlight on him. If you haven't seen this reel, you gotta watch it. Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell. He's awesome. I love him. But he's got a lot of energy.
He's very passionate.
Yes, he is. And he's standing on stage and he's got like a spotlight on him, and the whole rest of the place is like dark. And he's like, everywhere you go in the world, this is the world. This is the spiritually dark world. And he's like, and like when you are in your identity, right? And you're walking the way that, God meant for you to walk. You're walking in that light of Jesus. Like this is how you are to the world. But when you don't know your identity, when you're not walking in who you truly are, you're getting conformed by the world. He like steps out of the light and he's like, you're out here with the rest of the world. And I thought that was so powerful, because he was like, when you walk in your identity, when you walk with confidence and with that authority, you become this light to other people. So you go to your family, your reunions, you go to work, you go to the grocery store, like you are this light. And
when you are that light, you can feel it.
Right. And other
energy.
people feel it too. I mean, we know, I mean, you can always tell when the light of Jesus is like just completely glowing off of someone.
Every Sunday in church.
Right. I know, right? You got
yeah, I had a gentleman say, I hope your light shines so bright it offends people, and I will forever live by that, because you can feel the way a person feels just by walking near them. You just look at them and you're like, ooh, that's not an energy I want.
Exactly, yeah.
So
some of us are more like sensitive to it than others, Really in conclusion, like what we need to understand is you are going to be a disciple of one of two entities. You're either going to be a disciple of the world or you're going to be a disciple of Jesus. And you got to decide which one you want to be.
Yeah.
It's a dark world.
Try
And
not to choose hate.
yeah, like try to walk in a way that brings light to the world,
And
not darkness.
If you can't find that in your own home, if you can't find that in your own day-to-day, figure out what the problem is. What is the problem?
Right.
Maybe it's time for me to grow. Maybe I don't fit here anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Adjust some things.
Yeah.
Reach out for help.
And watch.
And pray.
Yeah. And like watch what how things change.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, because they will. The more of us we choose to walk in the light instead of, being conformed in the darkness like all these other people that are lost, it's like you bring light to other people.
Yeah.
So I just thought this was a really important topic to touch on, especially when we're talking about like who we are, what our worth is and stuff.
It is important too because everyone sees so much day to day.
Yeah, it's a lot of stimulus.
What is happening in the world.
All right, well, hopefully this helps somebody. If you know somebody who's struggling, who might benefit from this, share this episode.
Yeah.
And I'll, as we always say, like, follow, subscribe,
like our stuff, share our stuff, and all right. Well, we love you.
Yeah.